After the college entrance examination, the campus beauty Elena tricked me into the girls' room and falsely accused me of peeping, just because I didn't want to be the father of her child. Elena was pregnant with the school bully Robert's child. If her parents found out, she would definitely be beaten to death. She wanted me to bear her parents' wrath. When I refused, Elena accused me of hiding inside and peeping. Elena's school bully boyfriend Robert rushed in and broke my teeth. Jenny, our homeroom teacher, scolded me in front of all the teachers and students in the school without any reason. Afterwards, the school bully Robert became a good student who stood up for justice, but I became a rat crossing the street that everyone wanted to beat. None of the universities I applied to were willing to admit me. The parents of school beauty Elena thought the child was mine, so they had my limbs broken and left me on the roadside like a dead dog. 10 years later, I saw on the news that the school beauty Elena and the school bully Robert returned from abroad to inherit the family business and reached the peak of their lives. I was so angry that I vomited blood and died on the spot. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day when the school beauty Elena tricked me into going to the girls' restroom. This time, I'll close the door first. The story is about to begin. If you like it, remember to like and follow. Andy, come in for a moment. School beauty Elena waved at me in the girls' room, her eyes full of alluring charm. Don't worry, there's no one here. I have something to tell you. Looking at the familiar figure in front of me, I thought I was dreaming. Seeing me standing there in a daze, Elena pouted her red lips and said coquettishly, Andy, do you think I'm ugly? I pinched my thigh hard before I was sure that I had really been reborn back to the day of my high school graduation. Thinking of the humiliation of my previous life, I couldn't stop my tears from flowing. Andy, why are you crying again? Elena tossed her hair, then twirled her fingertips around the ends of her hair, with a loving expression on her face. Her appearance definitely satisfies most people's fantasy of a campus goddess. I wiped the tears from my eyes. I was so excited that my voice was shaking. Do you know how long I have been waiting for this moment? I am so excited all over now. A hint of disgust flashed across Elena's eyes. I thought she must have misunderstood something and thought I was coveting her beauty. Others had to pretend anyway, but I didn't hesitate for even a second. Elena-san, what do you want from me? I tried my best to smile as brightly as I did back then, but a sense of sadness arose deep in my heart. Flowers may bloom again, but people can never be young again. Even though I have really returned to my youth, my character has not changed at all. The hardships I experienced during those years left indelible marks in my heart like carvings by a knife or an axe. As I spoke, I closed the door of the women's restroom. Elena didn't panic. Her school bully boyfriend was waiting nearby. As long as she calls for help, the other party will immediately rush in to rescue the beauty. The most important thing is, once the door is closed, she has the final say on what happens inside. She could have forced me to do anything. Elena took my hand and pressed it on my belly. Andy, do you think I have gained weight recently? I pretended to be confused. How can you be fat? You are the recognized goddess of our school. Elena covered her lips and chuckled. You really know how to make girls happy. As she spoke, she frowned, rubbed her belly and said, a little angel came into my belly. What? Then why did you call me in? I acted as surprised as I did in my previous life, but I couldn't help but complain in my heart. This little angel might have been born into the wrong family. Elena stopped beating around the bush and forced out 2 tears, crying, Can you help me? Her original intention was to keep the child and let me bear the wrath of her parents. I raised the corners of my mouth and picked up a piece of black soap from the sink. I will definitely help you. Just bear with me, I'm very quick. Ah? Elena looked up blankly. The next second, I stuffed the soap into her mouth. Elena vomited reflexively. I took the opportunity to punch her in the stomach. This punch was delivered in anger, and it made Elena see stars and almost vomit the overnight meal. But can I make her vomit? I quickly covered her mouth to prevent her from making any sound. Elena spit out the overnight meal that had reached her mouth but swallowed it back. He struggled so hard that even the soap in his mouth was broken into pieces. I leaned over to her ear and whispered, You want me to help you get rid of the baby, right? Just bear with it for a while, it will be over soon. Elena tried desperately to shake her head, but only managed a few whimpers. Her parents already knew about her pregnancy. Now she just wants to use her beauty to find someone to take the blame. No need to thank me. I always like to help others, no matter in my past life or this life. After that, I adjusted my position, holding Elena with one arm while covering her mouth, and freed up one hand to hit her stomach. Bang! 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 The pleasure of punching flesh is much more enjoyable than hitting sandbags in the previous life. Elena probably didn't know. I am an orphan. In order to survive, I fought in the octagon for a period of time. My fighting ability is very strong. The more I played, the more excited I became, and I felt like I was back in that unforgettable time. I don't know how many punches he threw. My mind was completely blank and I could only punch. Occasionally I could hear the sound of ribs breaking. Elena looked outside helplessly, the blood from her mouth staining my school uniform red. For the first time, I felt that this thing was so beautiful. It looked like blooming little red flowers on my school uniform. Her boyfriend is called Robert, and he is an uneducated gangster. It is said that once when he was drunk he boasted about having killed someone. I knew he was hiding not far away waiting for the signal. But I held Elena's mouth tightly, so she couldn't make a sound. In my previous life, Robert broke my teeth just because I was in a hurry to explain and was not prepared. If a real fight breaks out, Robert and I are basically evenly matched. In 2 minutes, I can kill Robert 8 times. At this moment, Robert's roar came from outside the door. Who closed the door? Open it quickly. The toilet door was in disrepair and could be broken open with just a kick. I reluctantly put Elena down and stepped hard on the back of her hand, causing her to grimace in pain. Oops, I stepped on you. I'm so sorry. I apologized in an exaggerated tone and moved my wrists and ankles to keep myself in the best condition. Bang! Robert broke in. Before he could see the scene clearly, I had already moved. I used all my strength, lowered my waist and turned my hips, and crashed into Robert's chest like a bull. Iron Mountain. Robert groaned and was knocked back several meters until he hit the wall outside. In fact, I can record a speech in advance to prove my innocence. This is a great regret from the previous life. At that time, except for my deskmate, no one was willing to believe my one-sided story. Although Elena's story was one-sided. But people just trust the weaker side more. This time, I had the opportunity to record but I didn't plan to do it. I am innocent to begin with, why do I need to prove myself? God, let me live my life again. If I do something wrong, I will definitely be punished by God. As long as the thunder doesn't kill me, it means I'm not wrong. Robert covered his chest and stood up with all his strength. You dare to hit me, are you tired of living? I secretly thought it was a pity. My body is rather weak now, and I was unable to kill the opponent instantly with one move. Robert's eyes were red and he looked like a madman, he wanted to tear me apart. However, he is already at the end of his strength. I was ambushed by him in my previous life. This time it was his turn to be ambushed by me. All I can say is tit for tat. I hooked my finger at him, come here. This is the dog calling technique. Robert couldn't stand this and hit me with his fist. With a scornful smile on my face, I kicked Robert hard in the chest. Robert flew backwards again. After 2 consecutive heavy blows, he really couldn't get up this time. Just as I was about to continue, I heard the sound of high heels coming from the corridor. I knew it was the head teacher. I yelled, someone's breaking into the ladies' room. Help! Who's there? The voice of Jenny, the homeroom teacher, rang out. She has a bad temper and usually gives people the impression that she hates evil and cannot tolerate any grain of sand in her eyes. When Jenny arrived at the door, she almost fainted from the scene before her. The door of the women's restroom had been shattered into pieces, with debris scattered all over the floor. Elena is unconscious and there is blood on the ground. I pointed at Robert and said, Teacher Jenny, I beat him up for breaking into the girls' restroom. Look at the look in his eyes, he still refuses to accept it. Robert covered his chest and gasped for breath. Jenny glanced at Robert and without asking any questions, she turned around and scolded me, Andy, I only saw you beating up your classmates. Do you want to slander others? I was dumbfounded on the spot. Doesn't Jenny always hate evil? Could it be that? A bad idea popped into my mind. Jenny's so-called hatred of evil is just a disguise. In fact, she was also a participant in this incident. Thinking of this, I clenched my fists tightly, and an unprecedented anger surged in my heart. As soon as Robert recovered his breath, he cried, Teacher Jenny, Andy is crazy. He molested Elena and beat us both like this. Jenny was immediately furious. Andy, what kind of dirty things are in your mind? After saying that, she didn't dare to delay any longer and quickly called an ambulance. The students also gathered here. What happened here? I heard Andy beat up Robert. That's impossible? Who in the whole school would dare to beat up Robert? I heard it with my own ears. Teacher Jenny said Andy molested female classmates. Jenny and I were still there, so these words were said in front of us. There was constant discussion. Andy flirted with female classmates? Robert has such a strong sense of justice? Robert is usually domineering, but I didn't expect him to be so aggressive when something happens. I misunderstood Robert before. I didn't expect Andy to be honest on the surface, but he is such a person behind the scenes. Countless strange gazes were cast at me. The scene was exactly the same as in my previous life. I didn't expect that I could change the process but not the result. At this time, a fat boy said to everyone, Robert asks me for protection money every day. How can he save people? Jenny immediately defended herself. Robert is just a bit strong, but he doesn't have a bad heart. The boy retorted, I didn't give him money, and he beat me. Jenny continued to defend herself, he was just kidding you. These words immediately silenced the fat boy. Then, a short-haired girl shouted, I told you a long time ago that Andy has problems, right? He is indeed a beast. She spoke very loudly, as if she was afraid that others couldn't hear her. This time, Jenny just smiled and didn't make any excuses. I recognized the girl with short hair. Her name is Fanny. One time when I was queuing in the cafeteria, my school bag accidentally bumped into hers. She insisted that I touched her but called me a beast and forced me to kneel down and apologize, otherwise she would call the police and put me in jail. I still remember the look on her face when she had the upper hand over me. There were several hundred people there. Some people take photos and post them on WeChat moments, while others take videos and post them on their own media accounts. People said all kinds of things at the scene, but no one cared about the truth. Fanny thought I would give in, but I ended up calling the police. The police checked the school surveillance footage and cleared my name. But when the incident became so serious, Fanny just said lightly, who knows what he was thinking. She refused to apologize and the police were helpless. They could only ask people present not to spread rumors. Since then, Fanny has disliked me. This time she got her chance. At this moment, a nice girl's voice suddenly sounded in the crowd. Impossible. Andy is not that kind of person. The girl who spoke up for me was my desk mate Linda, the only person who trusted me in my previous life. She once accidentally fell into the river and I jumped in to rescue her. She even joked that her life would be mine from now on. But I never asked her for anything about this, so she trusted me absolutely. Jenny rolled her eyes at Linda and said, How do you know? Do you like him? Linda's cheeks turned red, I'm just speaking the truth. I couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Only then did I understand that there is not much truth in the world, and a woman's blush is worth more than a lot of words. For me, I haven't seen her in 10 years. I liked her in my previous life. It's just that my reputation is ruined and my health is ruined, so I dare not waste the beauty's time. At this moment, I suddenly understood. I still have a lot to say to Linda and a lot to do. My life can't stop here. So, I want revenge, but I can't risk my life. Jenny laughed, I see you just like him. You can like anyone else, but you have to like this kind of guy. How despicable. My face instantly turned black and I stood in front of Jenny. I'm in a good mood now. You can say whatever you want to me, but you can't say anything about her. Apologize. The last 2 words were almost squeezed out from between my teeth. Jenny was frightened by my look, and Elena's miserable condition appeared in her mind. She subconsciously took a step back. But this retreat made her feel embarrassed. Andy, watch your attitude. You haven't finished beating up Elena yet. Just wait for her family to come looking for you. At this point, Jenny regained her confidence and showed her former dignity. Do you still want your diploma? If she is truly selfless, I would admire her very much. Pity. Everything she does is ulterior motive. Whenever someone said something bad about Robert, she would defend them in every possible way. When someone says something bad about me, she just keeps silent. Linda just said a fair word for me, and she called her a bitch. This kind of person is not worthy of being a teacher. I say it again, apologize to Linda. My tone grew colder. Linda waved her hands repeatedly, I'm fine. Andy, don't be angry. Jenny was even more fearless. If I don't apologize, what can you do to me? Do you dare to hit the teacher? Before he could finish his words, I raised my hand and slapped him. I'll let you scold me. Bang! A crisp sound. I slapped him again with my backhand. This slap is to punish you for confusing right and wrong. Jenny staggered and almost fell to the ground. I raised my hand again. This slap is to punish you for being partial and protecting your own people. I slapped Jenny 3 times in a row. Jenny's eyes became noticeably clearer, like a college graduate. You should be thankful that I don't feel like beating anyone up right now. If it was half an hour ago, you would have at least a few broken bones. Now apologize, to me. My eyes look like they can eat people. Jenny was so frightened that she trembled and asked weakly, I already beat you up, and you still need to apologize? I frowned and said nothing. She didn't dare to say anything more, and turned to Linda and said, I'm sorry. I said coldly, if you dare to make things difficult for Linda regarding graduation, I guarantee that your fate will be worse than Elena's. Jenny's mouth twitched and she laughed dryly, no, no. She is a bad person, but not stupid at all. Robert and Elena come from wealthy families, so she always speaks for them and probably receives benefits from them. After all, I am the only orphan in the class, making me the most suitable person to take the blame. Even if I die outside, no parents will make trouble. Of course, it is precisely because I am an orphan that I can do things without any scruples. This is a weakness, but also a strength. Jenny would never dare to gamble with her life. Oh, there's one more thing. I turned to look at Fanny. Her heart skipped a beat. Why are you looking at me? I smiled very gently. I didn't intend to do anything, I just wanted revenge. I walked towards Fanny step by step. Fanny wanted to retreat behind the crowd, but others retreated faster than her. She could only hold up her phone and threaten, if you dare to touch me, I will post you online. After that, she encouraged the people present, everyone take out your cell phones and expose the evil deeds. She thought I would give in, but she didn't know that I didn't care at all. Remember to take a picture of me looking handsome. If you shoot a video for 1 second, I will punch you. Think about how many punches you can take. At this point, my eyes slowly swept over the other students. Oh, by the way, the shots they took also count as yours. Hiss. Fanny was completely panicked and started to cry. I know I was wrong. I was wrong before, isn't it enough for me to apologize to you? I looked at Fanny like she was an idiot. If apologies work, what do we need the police for? I said calmly, don't say I didn't give you a chance. Now I'll give you 2 choices, either 3 cuts and 6 holes, or let you run 3 counts first, and then I'll take action. Fanny's eyes lit up. What is 3 knives and 6 holes? I explained, use a knife to pierce the calf 3 times, through it. 3 cuts will make 6 holes, which is called 3 cuts and 6 holes. Everyone gasped. Jenny tried to smooth things over. Andy, you two don't have that much hatred, right? Besides, she's already apologized to you. I glanced at her and said, then you take her place. Jenny immediately looked up at the sky. I suddenly feel that today's weather is very good. I should dry the quilt when I go out. I'll go home and dry the clothes first. After saying that, she picked up her glasses on the ground and ran away without even looking back. The louder Fanny shouted behind her, the faster she walked. The scene suddenly became quiet. Fanny whispered, I choose the second one. Can I run away then? She is the school record holder for the women's 800 meters and is absolutely confident that she can beat me. Run. I'll only count to 3. Preparation. As soon as I stretched out a finger, Fanny ran out like crazy. A smile appeared on the corner of my mouth. 3. Fanny's legs went limp and she subconsciously looked back. However, what greeted her was a soul larger than her face. A flying kick hit him right in the back. Fanny flew sideways more than 2 meters and hit the trash can in front of her heavily. All the rubbish in the trash can was emptied out. A bad smell filled the air. I looked at the blood drops on the ground, listened to the painful groans, and felt a sense of relief in my heart. I didn't care whether Fanny could hear me or not, I just snorted coldly, this is how we're even. Linda asked, what are you going to do next? I gave her a reassuring look, everything is as expected. I can handle it. Linda nodded, but there was still a hint of worry in her eyes. I didn't want to implicate Linda before the problem was completely resolved, so I had to leave the school. Fights happen in school every day. The school leaders certainly don't want to make a big deal out of this. With them carrying the load in front of me, I am safe for the time being. When someone called me, I insisted that it was a fight. Night falls. My phone was bombarded with thousands of text messages. Some insulted, some threatened. I know Robert's parents did this. Their family is the bully of a certain village and has monopolized the local decoration business. If someone wants to decorate or renovate their house, they must buy materials from them, otherwise they will encounter various accidents. The decorator fell and was injured for unknown reasons, and he didn't dare to come to work the next day. Thugs come to harass people and create trouble if they don't give them money. There was also a homeowner who was inexplicably put in a sack and beaten while walking on the street. Everyone knows who did it, but there's nothing they can do about it. It would be fine if their products were of good quality, but unfortunately, the quality is poor and the price is half higher than the market price. We haven't entered the internet age yet. Someone wanted to go to the Capitol to file a complaint, but he was beaten half to death as soon as he got on the car. Compared to this, the beatings I gave Robert and Elena were nothing. Elena knew Robert's family situation and didn't dare to bring him home until Robert accidentally saved the life of the richest man in the province. With the support of the richest man, Robert's family business prospered and even expanded overseas. 10 years later, Robert and Elena returned to their country to inherit the family business. What I have to do now is to find the richest man one by one in advance. The news of Robert saving the king by 1 million was even on the news. I remember the time and place clearly. That's why I told Linda that everything was as expected. Robert is still in the hospital. This opportunity is naturally mine. The next morning, I arrived at the Target Park early. There is a relatively remote corner here, which happens to be a blind spot for surveillance. Not long after, a white-haired old man appeared here. He is none other than the richest man, Wang Baiwan. Just like what was said in the news in the previous life. Wang Baiwan had a heart attack as soon as he walked here. He just took the small medicine bottle out of his pocket, but his hands shook and it fell to the ground. Save! Wang Baiwan lay weakly on the ground, reaching out to grab the small medicine bottle but couldn't reach it. Seeing that the time was ripe, I ran over to save people. When Wang Baiwan saw someone passing by, he suddenly felt a strong desire to survive and said with difficulty, "I am the richest man, Wang Baiwan, save me." I actually have always had a question. Robert is not a man who would do anything for justice. He saw an old man lying on the side of the road and thought he would just go over and kick him a few times. How could he take the initiative to save him? Now it seems that Wang Baiwan must have taken the initiative to report his identity at that time. I hurried over and fed the medicine to Wang Baiwan. After taking the medicine, Wang Baiwan recovered quickly. I helped him sit on the bench next to me. He lamented to me that life is unpredictable. If you talk to me about other things, I probably won't know what to say. But I have truly experienced life and death, and even lived twice, so I have a different understanding of life and death. So, we two had a very good chat. Wang Baiwan is willing to give me a subsidiary as a thank you. If I can't run this company well, our relationship will end here. On the contrary, if I am really good enough, Wang Baiwan will continue to support me. I know that a person like him will definitely send someone to secretly investigate my background. I was worried about being misunderstood, so I didn't hide anything and told everyone how I was framed. I thought Wang Baiwan would think my way of handling the matter was too radical, but instead he applauded. A man should be like this. I don't know how long it took, but Robert came over with a group of people. The middle-aged man next to him looked very fierce. "Stop them, don't let them get away. You little bastard, you dare to hit my son. I will kill you today." This man has the look of a butcher. My first reaction was that this person must be wearing a spirit ring. He is Robert's father Gavin. Just as he finished speaking, a few strong men came running over from a distance. Seeing these people, I couldn't help but clench my fists. They are Elena's father and some of her uncles. In my previous life, they broke my limbs and left me on the roadside like a dead dog. Whenever it's rainy, my old injuries flare up and I feel so much pain that I can only curl up in a ball. Gavin looked the other person up and down and asked, "Who are you?" Elena's father did not hide it. "This boy dared to hit my daughter. I will destroy him." Gavin's face lit up. "It's the same as ours." "Then you can make the first move." Elena's father turned his gaze to me and asked, "Is the baby in Elena's belly yours?" I immediately pointed at Robert and said, "It's his." Robert's eyes were evasive. Elena's father nodded, but it was unclear whether he believed it or not. If he had inquired about Robert's family background before, he would have wanted to beat him to death. But now, I have severely injured Elena. Compared to her life, everything else seems less important. Wang Baiwan bowed and said, "My dear friends, Andy told me about what happened at school. There are some misunderstandings here. Why don't we sit down and talk it over?" Gavin yelled, "You old bastard, you have no right to speak here. Get out of here, or I'll kill you too." Robert added fuel to the fire. "Dad, it seems that this old man has a complicated relationship with Andy. We can't let him go." Gavin nodded and changed his words, "My son is right. You deserve to die too." Wang Baiwan shrugged, "So there is nothing to discuss?" Gavin said disdainfully, "Old man, there are more than a dozen of us, what do you have to talk to us about?" Robert's expression was very arrogant. "Andy, you can now choose to fight one-on-one or in a group. Do you want to fight all of us alone, or do you want all of us to fight you alone?" Before I could say anything, Wang Baiwan raised his eyebrows and said, "More people?" After that, a sound of orderly footsteps was heard in the distance. More than 100 well-trained young men in black suits trotted over. After I told them about my experience, Wang Baiwan called these people over. I didn't expect it would really come in handy. Gavin and the others all looked at each other and considered backing out. I turned around and said, "Now, you can choose to fight alone or in a group." Robert's face turned pale and he yelled at me, "Andy, if you have the guts, don't yell for help. Do you dare to fight me one-on-one like a man?" He could never have imagined that I had so many helpers. I clasped my fists and said, "Okay, today we will decide who is better and who lives or dies. I know this is the other party's way of provoking me. But this is also something I think about day and night. A fair one-on-one duel." When Robert saw that I agreed, a hint of cruelty flashed in his eyes. In his opinion, the reason I beat him to the point of vomiting blood was entirely because of a sneak attack. At least he was very dissatisfied. Robert ripped open his clothes, revealing his tattoos. This man, who had been hanging out in society since he was a child, had many hideous scars on his body. This is a psychological offensive. He would show his scars and tattoos in school, and the students would spontaneously pay him protection money. "Let's fight." He took the lead and threw a powerful right punch with the sound of wind. I dodged sideways, my heels making a harsh sound on the ground. Gavin and others were cursing beside me, trying to influence my mind. Little did they know that the more they did this, the stronger my fighting power became. I hooked Robert's wrist with my left hand and rammed my right elbow into his ribs. Robert staggered 2 steps, stood firm and punched me in the face. "Die." The blow just now broke several of his ribs, but it also aroused his ferocity. I blocked with my gauntlets, and our arms collided with a dull sound. His strength was superior, and he pushed me back step by step until my back was against a tree. There is no way back. I was hit by a few more punches, and the humiliation of my previous life emerged in my mind. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and grinned. Warm-up is over. I bent my legs slightly and assumed a Wing Chun stance. Robert snorted coldly, playing tricks. After that, he used tricks like poking eyes and kicking crotch. I yelled, slammed my elbow down to neutralize the attack, and at the same time, I jumped up on my toes and slammed my knee into his chin. Robert was unable to react and fell on his back. I didn't give him a chance to breathe. I rushed forward and punched with my hands like butterflies flying through flowers. Sun punch. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. My fist landed on Robert's nose like a machine gun. Robert's nose caved in beneath my fist. Warm blood splashed on my face. My expression became increasingly horrified. How unfair the previous life was, how crazy it is now. At first, Robert was able to block a few punches. But after a while, his movements became smaller and smaller, and in the end he could only use his face to block the fists. "Stop." Gavin wanted to rush over to stop me. Wang Baiwan gave his men a look. They immediately stepped forward and grabbed Gavin, not letting him get even a step closer. "Let me go." Gavin's eyes were red and he yelled at Wang Baiwan. As the fight went on, Robert's movements became quieter and quieter, his face was covered in blood and flesh, and he no longer looked like a human. "My son." Gavin beat his chest and cried. I sneered in my heart. He has come to this day too. The same thing happened countless times when they bullied the villagers in the village. However, this time, the one who was beaten was his family member. It turns out that he can also be angry and heartbroken. This is crazy. Elena's father and others looked terrified and wanted to turn around and leave. His brothers all hated him. When he came, he said that the other party was just a high school student. It turns out that their target is a complete lunatic who can easily call on hundreds of subordinates. My punches continued. With every punch, everyone's heart trembled. I don't know how long I played, but I finally finished it and felt really good about it. Gavin saw Robert's miserable state and pointed at me and yelled, "Just wait till you go to jail." When I heard the word jail, I took out my phone and handed it to him, "Then call the police." Gavin was suddenly speechless. I seemed to see through everything, with a mocking expression on my face. "You don't dare, do you? Do you want me to help you?" Robert's family is quite powerful, but only in the local area. This is the city center. The power of their family is not enough to cause any trouble. Without waiting for Gavin to reply, I called the police. Gavin panicked. "What good will this do for you? You'll still go to jail. You guys came to block me, I was just defending myself. Even if it's just a fight. Those who need to be arrested should be arrested, and those who need to be judged should be judged. And you have several lives on your shoulders, so whether you can get out in this lifetime is another matter." I wiped the blood off my face and continued, "I contacted the villagers in your village last night. They usually don't dare to speak out, but do you think that after they see you being caught, will they let you go? Have you figured it all out?" Gavin was completely furious. He pulled a switchblade out of his pocket and rushed towards me. "I'm going to fight you." Wang Baiwan's men quickly pinned him to the ground. I stepped on the back of his hand and crushed it hard. The old beast taught a young beast. "You deserve to be beaten more than Robert." The next second, shrill screams echoed throughout the park. "Gavin deserves it." I turned to look at Elena's father and uncles. In my previous life, they broke my arms and legs. In this life, I ask for nothing else but retaliation. "What do you want to do?" Elena's father and others retreated one after another. I grinned. "It's your turn." 10 minutes later, the police and ambulance arrived at the scene at the same time. I put the two families neatly together. There was a constant wailing sound from the ground, which made one's scalp tingle. It only falls into my ears, like the sound of heaven. They and I were sent to the hospital for treatment. A few months later, the case was solved. Gavin's family monopolized the decoration business in the village. They killed 2 villagers, disabled 8, and injured countless others. In the end, Gavin was sentenced to death and all his property was confiscated. Gavin's wife, Robert's mother, was sentenced to life imprisonment. With the help of the villagers, I don't need to worry about those 2 at all. As for Robert, I didn't expect that all the things he boasted about in school were true. He was really involved in the family business. In addition, he was also a social figure and once slashed a person who was unwilling to pay protection money. Gavin and his wife were dissatisfied with the verdict and took out Robert's transcript, saying that he was a good boy who was willing to learn and hoped that the judge would give him a chance to reform. The judge did so, but the total fine and compensation required was more than 2 million. Gavin and his wife still refused to accept it. They hope that Robert will be released in court without any stain on his record. So they spent money to use their connections and found a lawyer with the same surname, Zhang. Thanks to attorney Zhang's argument, Robert's fine was waived and his sentence was changed to 20 years in prison. The most surprising one is Elena. Her child was saved. I can only say that this child's fate may belong to Rebar. Originally, her desire to have a child might not have been that strong. But Robert went in. The child became her spiritual support. Her parents didn't let her have children and took her to the hospital several times. But the more this happened, the more Elena resisted. She ran away and rented a house to give birth to the child, which made her parents so angry that they broke off relations with her. With no other options, Elena had to enter society early. Just like me in my previous life, she had a hard time living outside. But she is better than me. I used to be in poor health and had difficulty walking. At least she could still find a job. Of course, it was a bit harder. At the entrance of an industrial park, a black business car slowly drove in from the door. A young woman was carrying a pesticide sprayer and spraying pesticide on the green plants in the park. She was Elena. I think she must have misunderstood something. How can she still be the school beauty she once was? Elena saw the familiar car and immediately took off her sun hat and saluted with a smile. "Hello, Boss Andy." She smiled brightly. She didn't know why she did that. But someone told her that she could get a little extra salary for every greeting. In the car, the driver was puzzled. "Boss Andy, why is she different from other landscaping workers and always takes the initiative to greet you? Is it because she is particularly enthusiastic?" Linda and I sat in the back row. Elena stood on tiptoes, trying to get a glimpse of Andy's boss's appearance. "But you can't see what's going on inside from the outside." I put my arm around Linda's slender waist and explained. I told her that if she greets this car every time she sees it, her salary will be increased by $5. Linda rolled her eyes at me and said, "You still hold a grudge?" I curled my lips. "Just think of me as being stingy." Elena couldn't see us and there was a hint of disappointment in her eyes. The old man next to him said enviously, "You have a great job, you get paid every time." Elena showed a proud expression. "Boss Andy thinks highly of me. Maybe it's because I'm so outstanding." As soon as he finished speaking, the familiar black business car drove back. Elena's expression suddenly became serious, and then she put on a smile again. "Hello, Boss Andy." Linda pinched my waist hard and said unhappily, "That's enough. Do you really need to run a few more times every day?" My face turned red and I tried to explain myself. "I left my wallet at home." "Real?"